been given access to receive messages of clarity, guidance, and love. As channeler, psychotherapist, and author, Noemi Grace has an intimate dialogue with the divine on your behalf. Lisa Berry, creator of the show Light on Living, will be co-hosting as live callers ask their burning question on self-love, self-healing, deepening relationships, areas of struggle, and next steps. By simply listening in, you're receiving wisdom that will lead to sacred stability from every channeled message that Noemi delivers. Join us now as we give you access to angels and grace. Good morning. Good happy lunch hour, everyone. Hello, Noemi.
Hello, Lisa. Yes, for those on the East Coast, morning for the West Coast, afternoon for Europe and Australia, I guess, good night. And so, yeah.
Oh, you know what? I love that you... Oh, this is already so magical. We've never done that before, and we just did a greeting, and we were, introducing and greeting in a different way. And that's what today's show is actually all about, is greeting and reintroducing and getting to know something maybe differently and oh my gosh, that was just so perfect. I love that.
Not planned at all.
No.
But when we show up, right? We show up and we're present, and then perfection happens.
Ooh, perfection happens from being in the present. Oh, can I write
perfection
that?
lives in the present moment, right? If you're sort of just continuing to reflect on this perfect moment in your past when you met your soulmate or something, and it doesn't have the same essence because it's not in the present, and it takes you out of the present, to reflect like that. So.
Yes, reflect. Reflecting's interesting. There's so much. There's gifts in it too, different gifts. But yes, I love that.
Absolutely.
Perfection lives in the present. Is the present. I love that. Love it. Well, today we are continuing our series. This is our second series, and this one, as we continue, is miracles from living beyond wounds, and really focusing on the miracles. But how do we get there? How is this thing? So I was going to ask you, Noemi, well, I'd love to actually start off before I read our beautiful description. What miracles have you noticed or seen this last week from any of your wounds?
Oh, just put me on the spot, will you? Oh, gosh. I never know what I really never know what's going to come out of Lisa's mouth. I never know what's going to come out of the divine mouth. I don't even know what's coming out of my mouth. So we show up and we're in the present. She likes to put me on the spot sometimes. Well, actually, so... through the pandemic, I have been working at home now for almost a year and 11 months. And I used to do I was doing a lot of spiritual practices because I was seeing clients face to face, and I was aware that I could take on the energy. And then I started to work with more and more clients at home, completely at home. And I sort of slipped with them. And I noticed that I wasn't feeling, by not doing those spiritual practices, which got me in my heart, which connected me to divine love and light and strengthened my energy field, I was feeling very unmiraculous, and I was feeling like life was a struggle. So in the last month or so, I have made sure that I've done it every day. And I injured myself snowshoeing on Saturday, and I was all in pain yesterday, but doing that practices. And then I had a sinus infection before that, actually, and doing those practices every morning. And some friends, of course, sent me Reiki and beautiful healing, and all of that it healed. It didn't get into the need for antibiotics. So that was, to me, is a miracle. Whenever the sinus infection heals on its own, as it should, whenever the vibration is high enough for that. And then since I have... I injured myself, so I'm looking at that and going, what's that? And I woke up today and I was doing like Ho'oponopono for my hand, which got injured, and my foot. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I never can get the order right. But it came out of me, and I was like, yes, and that miracle of forgiveness. So I've had miracles that wouldn't register on the scale of some people's scale, but it's registering for me because when life is, it's like that. You asked the question, Lisa, on Facebook about what is people's definition of prosperity. So it's like, what is the definition of miracles? What is it for you when life is at that point where, for me, the flow is happening and healing is happening and love and enjoyment and grace. It's so. So I'm going to turn it right back to you and say, what miracles have you been experiencing since our last show?
Oh, hey, you tricked me. Okay.
That's not a trick. Hey, don't ask a question that you're not willing to answer yourself.
That's a thing, isn't it? Oh, my goodness.
It's a good strategy in life.
I have to say, I'm so happy that you did use, to me that's a miracle, use the word unmiraculous. And we'll go back to this, but let me think here, because miracles, you know what's funny? Well, you know when they say sometimes in order to know what we want, we can look at what we don't want. And I definitely don't want an unmiraculous life. And so I was like, okay, wait, that's a good word. So miracles, oh gosh, I feel like,
breathe in your heart. The answer's in your heart. Get out of the head, get in the heart, and feel it. Feel that answer.
I can feel some of that, and I love that you had actually said reflect. I had some wounds that I revisited in reflection, and the miracle was that they no longer hurt. They no longer... I reintroduced... Yes, my wounds got reintroduced differently. I was really feeling our theme this week, I think. Yes, that was the miracle.
Exactly. I was feeling that, and we had our own little sort of different view of what the show description, which you're going to read soon, of that show description. And there was a miracle that grace, we were both in the state of grace and loving and non-judgment, and I found that miraculous because that hasn't happened all the time with people I've worked with, so I really appreciated that.
Oh, thank you. That's something actually. I would love to share that, because there are many people too that when they listen to us, there's stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Obviously, we would discuss show and what are we feeling, and we tune in, and I love the way that I don't want to call it handled it, but because we communicate with each other so well and openly and lovingly, it's not always going to be, I think it should be this week about this, and I should be this, and then it's just not perfect all the time. We have these differences, and I love that and then it opened up a whole other communication, and I think when we do talk about wounds, here's the miracle. Here's a big miracle. It's not the bearing of the wound. It's not just, one done, healed, and off we go. It really is being able to communicate with the wound so that you do have the opportunity to see and witness a miracle from it. Otherwise, you live an unmiraculous life. Oh, I got goosebumps.
So with all that, how about, would you like to read the description?
Yes, I love this one. I love conversations. And funny enough, we just said about having a conversation. Oh, it's working out so perfect, Noemi. Okay. So everyone, please enjoy the next hour of our show. What we have left with this. This is what we're going to step into. Hello, do I know you? Have we met before? You seem a little familiar. No, you don't know me, but we have met before. You don't know me because when we first met, you didn't see me for who I am. Who I was, maybe. Well, who are you? I am the portal to miracles. You don't look like a portal, and you don't look like miracles. You do, however, seem familiar, like someone I've met in the past that didn't feel so good. And you tell me you're a portal, but I haven't been to any portals. Who are you really? I am your portal to miracles. We met long ago, and you thought I was a wound. But I am no longer a wound, because I have transformed and transcended woundedness. I became something more, something different than a wound. I have become a miracle, and I am your doorway to miracles as well. If you will allow me, I can show you how to find miracles in your life. So many miracles are possible in your life, such as compassion, self-love, forgiveness, self-kindness, joy, peace, and abundance. The wound is requesting and requires a reintroduction, to be met again bravely, boldly, and with great trust. The wound is asking for change, to be seen differently. It's gone through hoops to get your attention. And now, with its healing and transformation, the wound is excited to bring you its riches, wisdom, and miracles. Greet not the wound by holding on to old opinions, but allow the past to transform into gratitude by way of self-forgiveness. Allow me to reintroduce you to the wound, a miracle that comes from change.
I love that. The wound, a miracle that comes from change.
Yes, that really is it. The change. And Noemi, I just, what was so interesting where that came from, what was the changes, why this was so reintroducing a wound to me really came up as I have a very dear girlfriend, one of my best friends, and her house burnt down. And she would tell that story a lot because you're getting through it at first. But it had been, I was judging, to be honest with you. I was like, hey, you need to stop telling that story. It's like 6 months, a year, 2 years. I was like, because you go into such it's hurting you. And not that I had the right place. Did I have the right to do that or not? I just saw pain and her reliving it. So I was like, well, can't we talk about the fire differently? Can we say, yes, my house burned down, but not go into that story? Could we go into you got to rebuild it, and there was this joy, this and that, and that really it became aware, in front of me, that maybe I need to reintroduce, wounds differently as well, and that's where that came from for me.
Yeah, I love how you came up with that word. I said, what are you getting? You said, reintroduce the word wound. I'm like, I wonder what that means, and then I just love how the collaboration of part of this you wrote, part of this I wrote, and it just came out so beautifully, and it sounds like one channel message, and so it is joyful for that. So do you want me to read what you call pre-channel message at this point, or
yes? Let's get all that out, because there's so much to work with.
Yeah.
And people need this for as they are learning now to reintroduce. How will they reintroduce their wounds? So yes, please. So Noemi has a pre-channeled message. I love it. I sit usually the Saturday before the show. I sit with the divine and say, "Okay, how would you like to start this conversation? We're reintroducing the wound. How would you like to start?" And so here is: the wound is the doorway into more of you. Change is something many of you resist, yet when you find yourselves wounded, you want change. You long to be unwounded. You want change and may even demand it, yet it often doesn't come. And the greatest change that can ever transpire is a change that brings miracles. A true miracle is the transformation of a wound and the pain that goes along with it into the components of a healed wound. You may say the healed wound becomes a scar, marring you for life. But we say the healed wound is so much more. An emotional scar may remain for a while, but it too can be healed and transformed. And when the scar is transformed, it is reintegrated into the rest of you and becomes a part of you, indistinguishable from the rest of you. So you see, the healed wound becomes you, yet also much more than the you that you have ever been. The transformation of the wound takes you where you've not been before and transforms pain into power, sorrow into grace, suffering into surrender, resistance into compassion, judgment into kindness, stuckness into unlimitedness, and so much more. Many of the attributes that you and others most appreciate about you are born out of the wound and its transformation. The transformation power of the wound is much greater than you realize. When the wound is present, so too are the transformative elements for the alchemy of the wound into much more of you than you have ever known or been. When you are transformed into more of you, your environment and whole life can be transformed into more. It is in this space that dreams also come true and miracles manifest. The path out of the wound does not need to be arduous. Transformation by its very nature implies a natural process, like that which turns a caterpillar into a butterfly, a tree into a petrified rock, and even creates diamonds. The wound is transformed through surrender.
In surrender, you give up the fight, the resistance to the wound, and the causes of the wound. You let go and let the transformative process begin. When you cannot let go, you grind to a halt the metamorphosis from what was into something wonderful, into something wondrous. Let go and let God is a phrase many of you have heard. Let go and let the transformation begin. Allow the wound to help you become more of you. To do so, you must stop resisting the wound and resisting yourself. Embrace yourself, your true self, which is much deeper than the wounded ego self that is attached to the wound. Everything you desire starts within. The wound is a doorway into much more. Learn to see the wound as a gift. What gifts has the wound brought into your life? What gifts are still possible through the wound? The willingness to let go, to surrender the resistance, accelerates the transformation process of you into more of you. More compassion, kinder, gentler, more powerful, clearer, with greater knowing and power to transform your life and world. Do you think you are lacking strength, kindness, generosity, power, wisdom, clarity, resources, or anything else? All are available to you from the abundant universe in which you live. But you have not taken up permanent residency in the world of abundance, in the land of miracles, because you have lived in the wound so long. Now is the time to change your citizenship, your residency from wounded to empowered, healed, enlivened, fully being you, fully aligned with the truth of who you are, living powerfully as that truth in the world. The wound is the portal, the doorway to this life. To get there, let go. Take a leap in willingness, followed by a leap of surrender and a leap of change. And the first thing you must change is your perception to see everything you have experienced as the doorway into more of you and into the fulfillment of your highest calling and purpose. The next leg of your journey starts here through the wound into the wondrous truth of who you are and the transformation of you into much more of you.
Oh, you know what, everyone? We are going to commercial, but come back, because guess what? As we reintroduce the wound, guess what? It gets a new address, and its permanent residency is in the land of miracles. Yes. Oh, we'll see you guys in just a minute.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
These are the sounds of a dinner. A dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
We are back. Hello. And now we are, as we kind of walked into that one, I loved it, was as we reintroduce the wound, we also get a new address. And how fun is that? Like, it's a move. Like, you're reintroducing, hi, I'm this wound, and I live here. And the land of miracles. Hey, sign me up. I'm going to move there too. So
that's fun.
Yeah.
That's a fun interpretation. So, and it kept saying the wound is the doorway, right? So it's like the doorway into this new residence. This miraculous residence.
Oh my gosh, I can see this as like, well, everything in my head is a cartoon, but I can see this as a cartoon, but
everything in your head is a cartoon. Wow.
It is. I always picture things like, wow, that'd be a fun comic strip or cartoon or something. But the word integrate, I would love to have you share about this, because as I heard it, was we are not, we're not imagining saying, okay, that's the wound, it's no more, it's all good, everything that happened that was crappy in my past is just done. You're not dropping the wound. You're not dropping you're integrating it. And I love that you use the word alchemy. So I'm going to ask you.
Yes, I love that alchemy too. Yeah, these are the two pieces I really loved, how it's reintegrated into the rest of you and becomes a part of you, indistinguishable from the rest of you. And then the alchemy piece, I underscored both of these. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, yes.
That's so fun that you did that.
When you realize the wound is present, so too are the transformative elements for the alchemy of the wound into much more of you than you have ever known or been.
More of you.
More.
And maybe I think that's where I really was like, oh, if we could have some beautiful channeled message around. So people are drawn to that. They're saying, oh, integrate it. I don't have to let it go. I don't have to drop it. I am reintroducing it, but it's like when you have you change the label on a product and you reintroduce it, it's because there's something a little different. I think that's where, how can people do this most easily? What do they need to, besides letting go, which is beautiful, what action could they take? Or maybe that is the action. I don't know. We'll have to ask Source. But that would be the question is, how can we experience the alchemy, and do we need to take any of our own steps to start that integration?
I think you snuck two questions in there. You're a little sneaky sometimes. Okay. Those are great questions. Let me just get situated again.
Oh, and before, the word alchemy, it's just, I'm sure everybody does have a feeling or sense around it. Could you define that for everybody, for us?
I love how you put me on the spot as some kind of Wikipedia or something. But, to me, alchemy, right? I mean, the classic alchemist was transforming base metals into gold, and in that, to me, it's changing something. Again, it's very similar to my definition of the miracle, right? It's changing something into something way much more precious, much more valuable, and it is a process that does that. That it doesn't require, in that alchemy, right? When you read the book like The Alchemist, I love that book,
yes.
Paulo Coelho, and you just read that. It's like you are taking something and changing it into something else, and there's a process, but it isn't 20 years of do this and try that and go there. It is a process that does it. And so what is that process? What is that process of alchemy? For me is sort of the question, here, what is it,
I like that you said is more valuable. Yes, absolutely. It's a process in which the same thing, becomes more valuable by either, not blending, integrating. Oh my gosh, those are the words. By integrating something else in it, with it.
Yeah, so now you become more of you, too. So that's the more valuable, right? More of you is more valuable than less of you.
So there we go. That's what we boiled. We alchemy boiled the question down.
We will.
We become more valuable. Yes, allowing the alchemy.
Mm-hmm. Allowing the alchemy. I think too, that there's a recognition that's necessary that there is more of me, and it would be, and it's good stuff. It's not like more wounds, more stuff I don't want to share and I'm trying to hide, and it's like there's deeper, there's more, there's gems within, and that's the alchemy. Oh, it's unburying the gems that are within us. That's the alchemy. We become the gems. We don't even know they're there. So how about that?
Gems. I love it.
I love gems. Okay. So something around alchemy and integration. So if this is your first time listening, I just take a moment to go deeper with the connection to the divine, which is already here. It's already open, but I go deeper. And then I'll greet the divine, turn it over to them, and they will start to speak and surprise us with their beautiful wisdom and love.
It's beautiful.
Divine, we're here looking to become the alchemists, to the integrators, to understand what we need to do to be more of us, to be fully us, and how we get there from where we are in wounds, some wounds fairly healed, some fully healed, some hardly healed, and how we get to that place of alchemy. And so really interested to hear, grateful to hear what you have to say. And we are grateful to be here. We are grateful to share. We are grateful to have this opportunity because you are all the alchemists. You may think we are the alchemists, and of course we are, but we created you in our image as alchemists. You too, all of you, have the power to transform and transcend, to transform into more of you and to transcend what is not you that you have been carrying and dragging through your life. You all have the gift of alchemy. And so when things feel broken, when things feel like they're not working, they seem to be not coming together for you, that is a cue that it is time for alchemy. That is, you can step into yourself as the alchemist and transform this. So first you must have the belief, the understanding that you can transform this. You can transform any wound. You can transcend any wound. All can be transcended. You have all read stories of people who have healed themselves from the biggest diseases and have returned to health, full health. All of that is possible. That is a form of alchemy. That is an example of alchemy. But you can heal from the emotional disease, the mental diseases that plague you, that plague your world, the not good enough, the self-judgment, the lack of compassion for yourself, the ununderstanding of yourself. You can heal from all of this. You are the alchemist. And it is your connection to us which causes that alchemy to initiate and to take hold. It is like turning on the stove and you turn the dial and there's flame. And so when you turn on the connection with us, the true alchemist, the full alchemist, the universal alchemist, and each one of you is an individual alchemist, and you create that connection. Invite us to heal with you. Ask us, what do I need to do to heal this wound? What do I need to do to move beyond this? What do I need to do to become more fully me? We invite all of you to start asking questions of us. Not questions of why is this happening to me, or why didn't I win the lottery, or when can I win the lottery, or why won't you? None of that. That's the same judgment that you hold for yourself. Step out of judgment for a moment and look at yourself with compassion and look at yourself with the understanding that you are the alchemist, that you are powerful beyond measure, much more powerful than you can ever imagine. And look at yourself with these eyes opened to see the truth of who you are, to embrace that truth, and to embrace the connection that you have with us. Together, we can heal anything. Together, we can transcend anything. We can transform anything. And we can create something magnificent, the miracles in your life. So start to believe that you have the power, number one. Then ask us questions that are powerful questions. What can I do here? What can I do now? How can I let go of this? How can I step out of this? You can step out of many wounds like you would step out of a garment that is zippered from the bottom to the top. And you unzip and you step out of a dress, an evening gown. So you can unzip from the wound in many cases. Sometimes you need help, and there's no shame in that. You are relational beings. You are here to help each other, to not be individually struggling in your own personal hell, but to be connected in a heaven on earth of connected souls that are seeing the true worth that they have, the true beauty that they have, that are connected with their beauty and others' beauty, that are so empowered to live beyond the story of victimization, the experience of victimhood, to live fully as the truth of who you are. And that is the miracle, because that is the alchemy, when you are fully the truth of who you are, wounds do not fester. New wounds are healed so quickly. New wounds turn into healthy so quickly, and they unveil more of you. They peel away a layer of not you, and they peel away a layer of not love and not compassion, and they peel away a layer of judgment to reveal the true beauty that you are. So start to ask us questions. Start to believe that you are the alchemist, and spend time as the alchemist. And first, spend time in your heart. Quiet time. Be with us. Sit with us. We love you. Love us back if you'd like. We don't require it, but we enjoy it. Sit with us and receive the alchemy, the moment-by-moment alchemy, the present moment alchemy, because alchemy lives in the present moment. Receive that. Receive our love and light to transform and transmute everything that you are carrying that is not you. And then, as you feel that, fill yourself. We recommend in the morning. Night is also very good, but we recommend starting your day with the infilling. And as you do that, then step into your day and remember that you filled up. Don't go through your day driving as if you have an empty tank. You have filled your tank. But also be aware of what is emptying your tank. If your tank starts to decline, recognize that what interaction you are having, what thought you are having is causing that, is contributing to that, and step out of that. Always asking for help. There's so much more of you, and we want you to know you as you have never known yourself before. Because we know you that way, and we love you that way. We are complete. Namaste.
Whew. Always like to let you have a big breath and a sigh after.
Yeah.
I absolutely resonate with the unzip from the wound was one thing they said, and I imagined, and sometimes we need help, and I remember when I was little, you being your snowsuit or your coat, and you'd come in and you're frozen, so you couldn't, have your finger movements, and you're little anyways, and you'd help me get out of my coat, Mom, and that unzipping from where you were to the next, the new, the miracle, the next thing, the present moment. Right, as you so beautifully said that, the present, perfection is in the present. So I love that. And I don't know if we need to step back into source to ask this, but I love that you shared from them. It's stepping out from the wound. And I want to ask, there's a portal to get to the land of miracles. Is there a portal, and what is it, to step out of the wound? From the wound.
The wound is the doorway. Remember, the healed, transformed wound. So as you step through the doorway, you are stepping out of the wound. Right. One of the spiritual practices that I've learned and so love in my life is called the Munai Key. It's rites of initiation from the Andes. And there's a place where they have different archetypes, and one is serpent. The first one is serpent, and there's a place that says, "Teach us to shed our past the way you shed your skin." It's like you unzip right there. It's like the skin. If you find the snake skin, the outgrown skin, it's snake just shed it. Yes. And so, if we could shed our past like that, wow, that is alchemy right there.
that's really beautiful. I like that. Shed your past. Like, and so, and it doesn't, it's not right away. We all have seen this perhaps, it takes time. I mean, I've had frogs and all those animals, and it takes time. They kind of get out a little bit, and then something else pokes through, and then all of a sudden it goes whoosh, but you do shed it, and it's not painful. You are outgrowing. You are
outgrowing. Yes, exactly. How about if we outgrow the wound? Outgrow being wounded. Ooh,
yes,
I like that.
Being wounded. Yes. Because yes, you're like, no, that doesn't fit anymore. No, that old wound, that hasn't fit me for years. That one doesn't fit. I like that, because you're not saying it's garbage. It has served no purpose, or it was wrong. Ooh, that's sometimes. Oh, I got goosebumps. Okay, I know we have commercial in a minute, but
okay.
I think a lot of times we hang on to a wound because if we're to look at it differently, if we're still in judgment, we might think, "Gosh, I was wrong. It wasn't that bad. It didn't hurt. They didn't hurt me. I wasn't." But it's not that. To reintroduce the wound doesn't mean we were wrong.
Yes, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. But there is also, in the Moon Key, changing your perception. And in the my channel book, An Intimate Dialogue with God, there's about changing your perception. When you change your perception, it didn't happen the way you thought it did. But it did happen. But it didn't happen as you retold it. It happened differently. Because when you retell it as a victim, which has so much judgment attached to it. So if you retell it as a victim, now it's laced with all this judgment and blame and guilt and shame and all of this stuff that's heavy and weighs us down. And so it did happen, but it didn't happen the way we remember it. We see it from a higher consciousness. We see it with eyes of love. It looks very differently.
Yes. Oh, and you know what they say? How people say, "Oh, it's your war story." This is like the wound story. So, who are you telling it from? Are you telling it from the victim? Are you telling it from them? We are going to talk about that when we come back from our final commercial break here on Access to Angels and Grace, as we continue our beautiful series of miracles from living beyond wounds. I was anticipating the commercial.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Consistently attract soulmate clients. Begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalind Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business by tuning in on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Mountain. Join me for your light language activation, and let's magnetize and monetize.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Uplifting music. Noemi, there's nothing, whether you're wherever you are with a wound, there's nothing like listening to music to help move you through something. Are you right now, what are you listening to? Are you listening to flutes or bells or full-blown music? What are you listening to right these days?
I tend to listen to Sanskrit mantras and some spiritual songs that aren't mantras. But I tend to, sometimes I will listen to also flutes or nature sounds, but not birds. It's something about birds that takes me out of the zone. But I love birds. I have a lot of birds in my yard of all kinds. But yeah, I listen to sacred songs mostly.
Yes. There's something about you said something just before break there about coming from different things from a higher consciousness or higher higher consciousness. And I want to ask you, Noemi Grace, about that. When you just touched on it just briefly there, and what is it? When we're coming from love and compassion and forgiveness, can you do the flip side, do both sides? What does it come from? And I don't want to say it's lower consciousness, but when we are not in higher consciousness, what does that look like and what might be common? And so people can help recognize that they might be there, and that what is the portal? What's the opportunity for them to move into? What are those states?
So you're asking what it looks like when we're not in higher consciousness?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Okay. And then what does it look like what they could be into? Yeah, let's wave the carrot.
So I think I'm guessing that most of our listeners have experienced that higher consciousness. For me, it's an expansive place. It's a place of where I feel love and loved. I feel compassion. I feel one with the universe. I feel in that higher place. And when I look at something, I don't have judgment of it. And I can see someone else in that way as well. And so in the lower, in something that isn't higher consciousness is kind of our default. Our ego consciousness, looking at things from the me place and this place where if you feel wounded, victimized, if you feel like taken advantage of, if you feel somebody was mean to you, all of that, and maybe they were, but still you're experiencing it from that place that is not higher consciousness. And so you don't feel that expansiveness. You don't feel that openness. There's no joy there. There's no peace there. It's the place I call angst. That is, with my psychotherapy clients, I say, "Are you angst today?" And they're like, "Is that a clinical definition?" I said, "That is as clinical as it gets. Angst."
Yes. And you almost can feel it in your heart when you say the word. If me putting that word out of my mouth, I'm like, I actually feel my heart kind of contract. It's like, angst.
Yeah. So I think we do know what the lower consciousness looks like because we spend most of our life there. It's kind of how we've been socialized to be. Very few people have. I met this woman recently, and her mother was like really into when she was young. When the woman was young, she's about your age, Lisa. Her mother was into Buddhism and studying with gurus and all of this stuff, and she learned to look at things so differently than just about anybody else. That I've known that that's how she was trained. She wasn't trained to look at things like poor me or they're being mean to me. And so for me, it was like, wow, imagine growing up like that, having that access to that higher consciousness taught to you.
Yes. And how the beauty, and that's not a protected, city walled kind of thing. That's where we're all trying to get to. That place. I love that you said, and I kind of just wrote this as a line, don't look at your wound, a wound, from the me place. I love that right now. I love that. So when we are able to reintroduce or look at the wound to figure out how are we going to reintroduce? We are going to reintroduce from the higher consciousness, but when we go at a wound and look at it from the me place, which is the ego place, which is all those things you said, that's where we're going to struggle. We're not going to be able to go through that door, that portal to the land of miracles. The me place is not going to deliver us to the land of miracles.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's the more of me place. It's more of you. So the me place is the old address. Now it's the more of me place, which is like the deeper me, all those beauty, the gems inside that are buried.
Yes.
Unburying those, bringing those out. So it's the more of me place.
Yes, and just because in case listeners are wondering, because I am. Moon Aiki, is that 2 words? Can you spell that?
Yes, Munay, Moonai, and Ki, Ki. Now, Moonai means love, and Moonai Ki means I love you. And these are 9 rites of initiation from the Andes, and been doing them for years with a group of friends, and it's life-changing for me. They're very, it feels subtle, but it's so powerful. And so just the ability to change perception, and to receive those rites of initiation. So
thank you for sharing that.
Good stuff.
I actually wrote it terribly. I wrote moon, literally, Moon space IKEA instead of IKEA for common side, but IKE. So yes, I thought I better ask this one.
That was a good question, because it's not spelled, because it's not English, so it's not spelled necessarily as we would spell it. So,
let's squeeze in another channeled message here.
Yes, for sure.
What I'm feeling is this. So here's what I'm thinking. We meet somebody, we fall in love, and then we're so excited to introduce them to our friends and family. And here we are with our wound is now healed, hopefully, or maybe it's along its journey, and we are shedding that past, and we want to reintroduce. So just like that, we want to reintroduce this thing to our friends and family. I'm this now. I'm more. If we have any... yes.
So what I'm getting is not reintroducing the wound, but reintroducing ourselves, because the wound gets reintegrated into ourselves, indistinguishable from the rest of us. So it becomes a part of us. So it's not like, here's this beautiful polished wound, we polished it, but it's like, here's the beautiful me. Here's me. Introducing yourself to yourself and to everyone else.
So that's I love that. Thank you for clarifying that. We're not showing the polished turd here. No, polished wound.
Oh gosh, you're too funny.
Integrated self. So how? The question would be around that, just that experience, and how can we do it gracefully? Because one might is there any uncomfortability with that, or because it's integrated, it's undistinguishable? So I guess that's what So how can we? The question would be, because we haven't done it yet, so we're going to do it. We're going to do it. So how can we do it comfortably and feel safe and have that reassurance to step forward and just show up to do this?
And so I was getting this visual of when we unzip that evening gown, then we step into something more comfortable, right? We step into, so when you unzip, you take that long zipper and you unzip, but then you step into something. You don't stand there naked, freezing. You step into something else. So it's like stepping into you, stepping out of that. And of course, the evening gown is beautiful, but stepping out of the woundedness into more of you. And so how can we do that? And so, all right, I'm going to dive in, because we're cutting close. Okay, Divine, this is going to be short and sweet, right? We will do our best, they said. Okay. You must own yourself the way you own the wound and the woundedness and the story that you have built around it. You have all created the story of the wound, just as Lisa was saying about her friend who had this tragedy of burning the house being burnt down. And so you have all created a story of woundedness. Start to create a story of truth, because the woundedness was the old truth. The new truth is the truth of who you are. It is so beyond the wound. So over that. So over that. Sometimes it hits me funny. Sometimes I just am surprised. Anyway, so going back to the divine. So to be over that story. Be over the story. Be done with it. Lose your taste for it. Like you might lose your taste for a dish that you ate every day for 10 years and you can no longer stomach it. Lose your taste for that story. Embrace a new story. Write a new story. This is the new me. I have been reborn every day. You may have started the old story, I was born on such and such date in such and such place, but this is I am being reborn. Today I am reborn. Every day I am reborn. The alchemy is occurring every day. Write the new story. It is what comes out of your mouth that defines who you are being in the world and who you're being in your life and who you're being with yourself and your loved ones and your job and everywhere you go. Write a new story. Speak that new story. Start to say things differently. If someone approaches you and says, oh, so it's terrible that your house burnt down, and it is, start to say, I'm grateful that I have a beautiful new house that came out of that. It was terrible, but I have a beautiful house, and that's what every day I'm so grateful for that new house. I am grateful for the new me every day. I am grateful that I am a new me. Oh, that happened. Yes, it did hurt my feelings, but I am a new me. I can see that with eyes of love. I can embrace that and no longer feel ashamed, no longer feel badly, no longer feel wounded, no longer feel not good enough, unloved, unworthy, all of those things that you were feeling. Start to tell a new story. Tell it to yourself first, because if you do not tell it to yourself first and you try to speak it out of your mouth, it will feel like a lie and it will feel like a falsehood, even though nothing is more true than the truth of who you are. But if you do not tell it to yourself first, if you do not own it first within yourself, if you do not share it with yourself every day and step into that every day, like role playing. Sometimes Noemi Grace does this a bit with her clients. She role plays when they have to have a conversation that they feel is difficult or set boundaries. She role plays with them. You role play with yourself. Role play, saying this new story. Say it. Memorize it as if you were going to stand on the stage and share this story to the world. Start to tell it to yourself every day. Every day, step into that truth. Every day, own that truth. Every day, start to believe that truth a little bit more. Start telling yourself a new story about the new you. Who am I really? Question any negative terms, any negative words, any self-judgment, self-doubt. Question it. Say, that is not me. Even if you don't know who you are, you can say, I do not know who I am, but I know that is not me. And I am willing, and I am desirous to learn who I am. And start to write that new story consciously. You wrote the other story unconsciously. Start to write this one consciously. Tell yourself a new story, and then you will find that you are telling others that same story without even trying. We love you so much. We have much more to say, and we will continue these conversations. But for today, we are complete. Namaste.
Ooh, there was lots in there.
Okay.
I know this is the one highlighted line. I hope everybody feels and hears this. Own yourself, not the story. I love that. Embrace a new story. That was beautiful. I love the role playing, by the way. That's fun. And you know, as if you're saying it on stage. And the most perfect thing was you can even say, I don't know who I am, but I'm excited to learn. I'll write it. That's amazing.
And so starting to tell ourselves that new story is so powerful because we can tell ourselves a story, it's a little bit of fake it till you make it almost, but, it's kind of like telling yourself that new story, maybe fully feeling like it's not 100% true, like, oh, yes, I had a moment where I was that person. But starting to tell yourself, what I liked is catch any self-judgment, self-doubt, any negative word descriptors that come out of your mouth and catch those and say, I'm not that. And that's where I think that's where they said, I don't know who I am, but I know I'm not that. Yes. And so that is beautiful.
But I know I'm not that. That's actually, I can actually squeeze this in. I remember I've been going through so many things from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and I came across a calendar that my mother had the year I was born, and I thought, it was Ziggy or something. It was fun. And
Ziggy.
I know, isn't he cute? And I looked at my birthday month. And on my day, she had written the time of the day that I was born. Now, I had always told the story that I was born at 2 minutes to 2. I said I came in the world just in time for tea, right? And so, Noemi, I was not born at 2 minutes to 2. I was born at 2 minutes after 2. And it rocked my world. I was like, no, I've got it. Now it's a different story. Oh, no. And so it was something that, I hope that it's these tiny things that we have details about, tiny little things about ourselves that we've told multiple times that we think and believe. It's okay if they're incorrect or if the perception has shifted. It's okay because guess what? I still love that I was born around 2. So I just wanted to share that bit when you were saying that. It's like you're learning who you are still every day. So own yourself, not the story. Doesn't matter if you're born 2 minutes to 2 or 2 minutes after 2 or it was AM or PM.
You were born, and that's what matters.
Oh,
so
no,
we will be back in 2 weeks for more.
For more miracles, everybody.
More alchemy, more miracles, and more of you.
We have so much energy at the end of the show. All right, guys, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, Noemi. Thank you so much.
Bye. Oh, thank you, Lisa. My pleasure.
Bye-bye.